Hello, friends, and welcome to EUphoria, the channel dedicated to uplifting the talent and diversity in the European TTRPG scene. Querent is a two-system actual play where we'll build a society from the outside in with Microscope, and then we'll play through some of its final hours in Tin Candles. In both systems, we'll be accompanied by the Mordant Arcana Tarot deck by BIPoC, illustrated by Strango Wolf Eden van den Berg. My name is Luyou, my pronouns are she and her, and I'm an Asian American woman. I have glasses, black hair with pigeon colors streaking through, and I'm wearing a black dress.
Hello, my name is Markus, pronouns are he, him. I am a pale white Caucasian male with dark hair, with a little bit of gray streaks in it, glasses, a beard, and today wearing a dark shirt with a Tycho logo on its chest.
Hi there, I'm Chris, my pronouns are he, him. I'm an early 30s Asian Caribbean man with a black moustache, beard, and hair, and today I'm wearing a red and blue checkered shirt.
And hi, my name's Finley, my pronouns are they, he, and I am a mixed black Asian person of colour. I'm wearing glasses and this kind of navy shirt with tigers on it. I've got dark hair that's all tied up right now.
This game of Microscope includes the following content warnings: inclement weather and wolves. If at any moment through this episode you need to step away, please do so and come back when you're comfortable to rejoin us. Querent, inquirer, one who asks a question or seeks advice from a tarot reader or oracle. Derived from Latin, the term means one who seeks, or inquiring. In a GM-less, collaborative creation system like Microscope, no one knows just what we'll create or how the cards will land. Please join us in finding out.
For the sake of time, our table has already decided on the basics for this chronicle. We will be following a society near the river Udesia, whose main export is music. Instruments, but also the ability to play so that even the heavens listen. The four main constellations stretching in the heavens are the wolves, and we'll be exploring these people's relationship with the stars. We decided on a palette which includes time travel and magic as technology, and steers away from war and hard science fiction.
During our session 0, we drew a 3-card spread to represent the past, present, and future of the society. Our past and first bookend is a great storm represented by the caged girl in the 8 of Swords. It cut us off from the wider world, and we sought answers from the stars above. This is where our chronicle begins. Our present, and the main body of our timeline, is a pair of people clutching each other with the 2 of Cups. The figures are in a tight embrace, seeking comfort or connection. We only have each other, but we haven't lost hope.
Our future card and final bookend is the demise of the Udesians, represented by the carousel horse and the rider of the chariot. No matter how desperately we rode or how fast we spurred the horse, in the end we couldn't escape the platform. This is where our chronicle ends.
In the first pass of Microscope, you are just starting to fill in the basics of the timeline and sketching out the large strokes picture. Each player makes one period or event. So, this first pass, I think I will add a period. I will just grab one, and what I might do, anytime I'm not sure, feel free to utilize or not utilize this to whatever degree for you, but when I'm not sure about what I want to do, I'm going to grab a card to see sort of like what the general structure for the event will be. This is the Lovers. It's actually amazing that I pulled this card first. It's a wolf. It's black or very dark. Its head is sort of like laying very low, and there is the silhouette of another wolf. It's not its presence necessarily, but actually its absence, which is sort of like highlighted in this card. Normally, the Lovers would be a major arcana, which is about togetherness and the sort of things that you might expect from being coupled or paired, but this one is very explicitly it's the like absence of this other wolf, which is the defining trait. So I'll actually add this as a dark period. In the dark period, where the entirety of the canvas of the heavens is darkened, the Udesians look and try to play their music to speak to these wolves, and it is of no use. For this period of time, this society is completely cut off from communication. Not only do they have no ability to ask questions of the wolves, but their ability to see or to navigate at night is also extremely hampered. Okay, that's me. Marcus, you can make a period or an event.
If I want to make an event, do I have to make it in the period that you just created? Because that's the only period we have right now, correct?
Yeah, so during the first pass, if you want to make an event, you'll need to make the period within that event, or
exactly,
which holds it first. So
yeah. How very beautiful, by the way, that we start with the first period and you draw the lovers, which on this card deck that we use is wolves. That
I
is
know, I'm so
fitting.
excited.
You gave us a period very close to the end of the timeline. I'd like to create a period too, but let's go a little bit further to the start of the timeline. And it's going to be a light period. And Luyou, would you be so kind to draw me a tarot card to see what this light period might be about?
So the High Priestess represents the future unknown, the blistering power of planning, the unconscious, intuition, and spirituality. In this card, we can see a woman whose face is half in shadow. How do you interpret that, Marcus?
There's a certain element of mystery to this, but also of intuition and following your guts. Since this is going to be a light period, I think this is going to be something about a great opportunity for these people. I've called this light period The Wolves Teach Their Songs. And it's about students of the stars learn how to speak to them, with them. We're going to find out soon what happens in that period. I think that's everything I'm allowed to do on my first pass.
Yeah. Do you have any ideas of what it looks like as the wolves first start to teach, or perhaps like how they pick their first crop of students? Is it chance? Is it a selection process of some kind? What do you imagine?
Learning how to understand the canine constellations is equally a matter of skill, but also of a sense of intuition to learn how to interpret what they're teaching us. So it's not really clear how the constellations pick those who can interpret them. All over the Udesia region, there are slowly appearing people who are capable of using the instruments and the song that the Udesia people have had for generations to now also understand the stars and their significance.
So I'm going to fill in a third period, which is going to be in between these two. And I might need a bit of input if it's okay with whether it should be light or dark, because what I imagine may have happened at some point between these two, we've learned how to talk to the wolves, and sometime much later on, we become unable to. So I think there's a period of time where the Udesian technology leaps forward, and we create and we imagine and we build on everything we had before, but as a consequence of that, we leave our music behind.
So good. I mean, you are the author of this period. Do you imagine the leaving behind of music to be light or dark?
I was actually thinking about putting it as a light period, as it is prosperous for our people, but we find out why that's maybe not so good later on.
Do you think that if you're going to pick and make it a light period, maybe in future rounds, we can still delve into that period with events and the likes, and show from both sides how some people might interpret it as a good or bad thing?
Yeah. What do you think the technological or societal advance is? What do you imagine it to be?
I think it was probably inspired by an original desire to meet the beings that gave us so much life, and that I think it was probably space travel.
Yes.
That was so sick, by the way. I was like seeing where he was putting that, and I'm like, ooh, there's a nice big space there for another period. But I think I'm actually going to make an event under the stars darken, under the premise of someone tries their darndest to figure out how to bring music back. Like, the event is someone's trying to return that, like, skill and talent for music that has been lost over time. And, I think that's a light event. I think that's light.
You know, one thing I think which is interesting, we've established that before the timeline begins, there is already some ability to play music and have the stars respond. And so it's interesting that this first period right now is something separate of that the wolves teach for the first time rather than music comes for the first time. I think that that's really cool.
Yeah, and I've just decided to name the event Encore, as we try once again to have that great performance that we once had.
That's awesome. Do you think that it's mostly spearheaded by one person, or is it like a group venture?
I'm not sure if I could say for now. I think it would depend on like what we think the split is from like We Leap Forward as well, if that makes sense. Like if there is like a stronger split there of like people who are super for the space travel and people who are super for like kind of tradition, I suppose. Like I think it would then depend, I guess. Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. In the second pass, we are starting to add some meat to the timeline. We are going to be making either an event or an anchor, which is an important person. Okay, so in that vein, I will make an event or an anchor. I'll do an event, and I'll make it a light event. I'm going to drop it right here, right at the sort of like very shortly after. I think that something which I love is how connected the society is and how tight-knit despite their circumstances. And what I'm imagining, which I would love to explore in a scene later down the line, is knowing that the heavens won't respond to music doesn't make music go away, right? Even if you know that your art might not connect or be extremely well received in the outside world, people still feel compelled to make art. And I think that art as comfort, art as something which pushes away the darkness, the inner darkness of the soul, I think that's lovely. So I have written A Voice in the Dark, a mother sings to her frightened children.
I think I want to add an anchor to this timeline. And for this anchor, I would like to look at one of the early scientists who contribute to this leap forward that Chris just described, and what drove them to to choose this path forward, and what led them then to abandon or distance themselves from this music, this part of their culture and their people. I think the scientist would be someone who went into his craft with good and pure intentions, but might have always been a little bit naive about the consequences of their actions.
For some reason, I'm feeling the last name Young.
We're going with Professor Young. She, her pronouns.
Mhm.
And so Professor Young was essential in our society's leap towards the stars, a key figure in figuring out ways to venture into that darkness above that is only illuminated by the constellations that they, until now, had the songs of. But for some reason, Professor Young will be involved in the technology that causes to leave the people, to have the people leave behind their songs.
My thought for this is that at some point down the line, the Udesians start to venture out a bit once the storm begins to subside, and they're able to explore their surroundings again. And that an explorer, maybe a bit of a loner, likes to go off on their own, encounters a solitary wolf on a hillside. I call this event A Blade on the Hill, and an explorer meets the Wolf of Swords as well, written here. And so I expect that probably our people thought very much similar, that these beings, these interstellar beings that they've been singing to all this time, were more of, they expected that they were concepts, or more kind of a spiritual belief, but that they could physically appear before them to teach them had never really crossed their minds.
Okay. Sorry, I'm going to take a moment. I'm a bit torn between either doing an anchor or a dark event. I feel like we've got so many light events going on, guys. We need some...
You bloom!
or an anchor. And I feel like, Luyou, if you could draw another card from the deck, this might help me figure one way or the other. It may not, but it would be nice to, I don't know, get a little bit of input from some cards there.
You have drawn the Six of Wands. This is a rad card. So you can see a darkened figure. They are sitting on a what seems to be a horse, but it's just the silhouette of a saddle. They've got various arrows sticking in their head and a masked a face behind beads. Normally, the Six of Wands means victory. It means coming home after a challenge and getting recognition. But this looks more like, I've survived. You haven't killed me yet. Which is so cool.
It's very cool. I think then, on saying that, I'm going to make another anchor. And because I know we were interested in some time travel. And I want to propose that this anchor is one of the students who talk with the wolves, but no one seems to know who they really are. They're clearly of the Udesian society. They know the Udesian traditions, but no one really knows them. They're a little bit of a mysterious person.
Oh, I can't wait.
So I am just going to type for a second. If anyone has any names or pronouns, feel free. I'm going to just label them as mysterious student otherwise.
I was about to suggest that this is the best way to, like, for now, label them as like this mysterious student. I feel like we're going to find out during play who this is.
Mm-hmm. Oh, delicious, delicious. So, that is the first and the second pass done. And now we are going to start exploring our history. So this is getting stuck in. The way that this works is we go down the turn order and pick an existing anchor or make a new one. And we focus on that anchor for the entirety of the round. All of the history we make relates to them and the chronicle. And we will go through that list, and then once we get back to that first player, they wrap up that anchor story for now. Then the person above them in the turn order makes anything they like free roam, and then the person below that initial first player starts on a new anchor. So, with that being said, I think I will start with Professor Young, since we've got two. And I think that this is a really interesting person. They're clearly very anchored into the history of this place as well, and the potential futures. I will make Quiet Sky. For the first time, a student can no longer hear the music. From all of the time before, as long as the Udesians have known, anybody who asks a question of the sky will receive an answer, even if it's incomplete, even if it's mysterious or confusing. But I think for the first time, Professor Young, as perhaps a someone who is fairly new to this, asks a question and doesn't receive an answer. Now, whether that question is something that the stars cannot speak on, or whether that is something which is to the exclusion of Professor Young for some reason, either something in her heart or something in the wolves that the wolves have foreseen, I'll leave that up to the table.
Interesting. Since on this go around, we will all focus on Professor Young, is it also possible to add a period that is related to Professor Young?
You can do anything. As long as you can make a period, event, or a scene. It just has to be about the anchor. And this is also when we can start doing played scenes, so shared RP and things like that.
Right, exactly. I would actually like to give us our first scene then. And I want to make a dark scene that's nested under the Quiet Sky event.
So that the way scenes work is, again, you start with a question which can be answered during play fairly easily. The better the question is, the better the scene is, of course. And once we know the answer to that question, even if the character or characters in the scene don't know, that is when the scene ends.
I've added a scene that poses the question, what did Young ask that the stars did not respond to?
Who would you like in the scene?
I'd like to have Chris in the scene. And I'm imagining that this Young, far before she had the title of professor or anything, has been a student of the wolves and the stars, might have been even really skilled, and that we have this scene right when she asks, she's trying to communicate with the stars. She's not alone here. I imagine there's someone with her here. Chris, who do you think would be with Young at this point?
I mean, some time ago, there was a very capable student who knew everything about Udesian tradition and knew as much as the most proficient student about the songs, but no one really knew where they came from or how they got there. But as they got older and became more known and trusted in the society, and they met a very young Professor Young and took her under their wing.
It is both of them out here during one of the coldest nights of the year. The sky has not a single cloud on it, and the constellations shine down on us. You have witnessed Young often perform the music and songs to reach out to the stars. And she has brought you here to witness as she wants to pose yet another question. You have a feeling that you know what the question will be. Is there anything that you would do to try and intervene? Are you aware of what's going to happen? Do you let it happen?
I think he understands that sometimes it's necessary for people to find these things out for themselves. That the kind of the ebb and flow of the music to and from them and the stars doesn't always go the way you expect. It's different for everyone, and interfering might, even though there's concern about what the question might be, might hinder hinder. So we have a first name for her. She's not a professor yet, so
It's a good one.
Big one.
I'm just gonna put Clara.
Clara Young. Perfect.
That he might be concerned about what Clara's going to ask, but he has learned through a long time that she still needs to do this herself, and then they can talk about the result afterwards. But I think he's just going to be supportive of her.
You know the words that will leave her lips as she turns towards the skies, her instrument in hands. She plays the tunes the constellations have taught her. And above the two of you, the stars shine, shimmer. The brief experience as if the wolves start a nocturnal dance. Clara has asked many questions, but you know that the one she will ask now will go unanswered. She asks all four wolves, why is it that the Udesians themselves cannot reach for the stars? Why can the wolves teach them how to heat their hearth, how to travel the lands, how to protect themselves from the dangers of this world? But why do the wolves not teach them how to come closer to them, how to ascend and travel through the void? She expects that there is some wise words that will be carried on the winds, some insights that may be something that she overlooked in her own studies. But the wolves remain silent. They cease their dance, and their glow even vanishes a little. Clara looks up disappointed, confused, and she looks toward you as well. How do you respond to that quite essential moment in the life of Clara Young?
Was that answer satisfactory?
She looks at you in disbelief. She's not sure if you're joking or mocking her, but you already know what she's going to do next. She strides by you through the snow and off into the darkness. We now know what Clara Young asked and never received an answer to.
Delicious, delicious. I'm thrilled.
Thank you for that, Chris.
You're quite welcome. I might put a light scene in. I'm continuing on with the event that I put in earlier, and I'm going to have a we can just have a conversation, if possible, between an explorer and a wolf. This person, what they really want to know is why now, after everything the Udesians have been through and being cut off from all of the other people on their world, and they've been praying and singing to the wolves for so long, why come to us now?
And would you like this to be a dictated solo or played scene with people?
So in my mind, I'm not sure would this creature, would this wolf actually speak in a way that we would understand, or would its responses just be in the form of music or sound or something else? So I would like maybe to have someone else in the scene, but I guess it would be not necessarily dialogue, but more kind of descriptions of what you think the wolf would do in response. So, who do I bring? Finley, would you be able to play our Wolf of Swords for us?
I can do my best. Not me quickly googling dog mannerisms as if I don't own 2 dogs.
This is a cool first wolf contact as well, because this is swords is communication based.
Yeah, that was my thinking, was that the first one who would come down to actually see the people was the one who was the most interested in the communication they're doing. I imagine this explorer just so we can do this. Have we got someone give me a name and pronouns for this person?
Torin, he, him.
So Torin has styled himself a bit as an explorer, as a wayfarer through the frozen wastes that were blasted by these storms. But since the storms have begun to subside, he's one of those who thinks that it's very important that the Udesians reconnect with what they've lost. But has been out on his own, sleeping rough and camping and just kind of continuing to go without much sign of anyone else, any other settlements. And I think he's probably at this point quite tired and very kind of haggard looking, and the clothes is quite kind of worn. And he sees this, he looks up and sees a hilltop and the sun shining behind it, and the silhouette of a wolf standing there, obviously looking right at him. And he climbs up, and I think the closer he gets, the more and more he can hear the song that the wolf is singing to him. It's something he's heard before many times when he's sung to the Wolf of Swords. And he doesn't need to ask who it is he's approaching, he knows. And he gets closer and decides he gets close enough. You can't really make out much of his features, it's still silhouetted against the light. And he asks, "Why did you come now? And why to me? I'm ages from the village."
Even though the kind of great wolf is silhouetted against the sun, you see a very pointed cock of its head. Its tail starts to go, and kind of notice it physically relax a lot more. It seems to have been stood there waiting for some time, and now it's very clearly been acknowledged. visibly relaxes. And yeah, it's just sitting there with its head cocked side to side, its tail kind of wags kind of languidly.
Torin kind of reaches round and opens up a bag and then pulls out a long case and clips it, takes it out, opens it up and lifts out a flute. And he goes, sorry if this doesn't sound great. I think it's a bit frozen, but it's still in good condition, I think. And he begins playing a small part of a song that he learned when he was a child and has played many times when he needed to ask, when he needed to know if what he was doing here was worth doing. And he'd always hear back that that this was necessary. And he plays this same song to the Wolf of Swords in a way, asking it in a language that he hopes it will understand if he should continue on.
As he begins to play, the wolf listens intently and slowly starts to kind of try and circle around Torin, and with the intention of bringing him closer just to that cresting point of the hill, just so Torin can see what that wolf can see way over the horizon line, and answers in the best way that it can that, yes, look ahead, look what's coming now, because I'm here for you, we are all here for you in this one. And I think what Torin is graced with is, first of all, quite nice warmth. The wolf is surprisingly soft as kind of brushes up against him. And yeah, that kind of first morning light as it crests over what is normally quite a frozen, kind of frigid wasteland is quite beautiful. That kind of morning glisten and the possibilities that lie out there.
And with that, Torin begins to unwind his scarf. I won't need this anymore. And strides down the other side of the hill with new purpose in his step.
So interesting. We're weaving so many threads together. All right.
I hope Torin's okay. I hope Torin makes it out of here.
Curious, Finley, to see what you do with Professor Young.
So, I was thinking with Professor Young to add a dark event, basically right at the start of We Leap Forward, and it is her petition to say that we need to leave tradition behind. It is her petition to say we need to refocus, we need to retrain. And it's basically her bringing the beginning ideas of space travel at this cost, which I imagine at least a few people are not pleased with, considering the situation. Yeah, I've changed it to just add, like, meaningful progress, like, potentially it's already started, but she has noticed this, like, kind of claim to tradition, and she is like, okay, we've got to move forward, we've got something really great here. It's like, kind of, yeah, that final push before we really leap forward. I suppose I should probably add that there is pushback, but obviously, to make that progress,
yeah,
she succeeds, so I'll just add that final note in that there is initial pushback, and we can explore that maybe.
Yeah. And I think we will do that now, because I will be adding a dark scene, and I think all of us will be participating in it. I could type in it afterwards. But I would love to see a scene where, to a society which has a fair number of believers, but also a fair number of people who don't consult the stars. Perhaps they find um, the guidance of the wolves too vague, or perhaps this is not something which ever drew them in. I would love to see a variety of different um, sort of like feelings on this. The question I will ask is, what is the moment where society accepts this? Finley, if you could play the professor, since you have added in this wonderful event, I think the rest of us can be sort of like people in the community. How does that sound? So when did society accept this? We open on an unusually packed meeting hall. This meeting hall was not meant to hold more than 20 to 30 people, but nearly every adult and even some of the older teens are here in this space. This community is one which is fairly advanced, and yet this sort of daily discussion is rare. The Udesians don't find cause to host many of these town halls anymore. But somebody put out some flyers for a discussion on the moving forward in various scientific pursuits and seeking funding for it. And these are the people who answered. Who do we see standing on the podium, and what is her sort of facial expression and mannerism as she begins to address the crowd?
We see, I assume now, Professor Luyou, as she has a mixture of stress visible, kind of like kind of bags under her eyes, but also this kind of giddiness as she prepares everything at the podium. She's both exhausted and excited. She is so prepared that, you know, she's sifting through papers and papers and papers, just trying to find the right order, the perfect way to propose everything that will fix everything. It has to fix everything. And she kind of looks at the kind of meeting hall as it starts kind of filling, and she thinks to herself about the capacity of the space, but this only adds to the sort of giddiness she feels. And up at the podium, she's like, right, thank you all so much for turning up. Of course, you all know that we've been working really, really hard to integrate more with our travelling, and specifically not just regional, but we want to go more into space. And she kind of starts going on this long spiel, science talk, and there is a notable absence of any mention of tradition or music or utilising any communication with these wolves. She is solely focused on how great this will be, how far their expanses will go. There is no mention of the wolves in her plans.
During the Q&A section, one young reporter raises their hand and says, it says here that you don't plan to use any wolf song in any of the construction or blessings for this craft. Why have you chosen this?
Well, we have just we're tweaking just the final ways to try and do this for our independence, really. This is a project for us, not so much them. And so we're trying to do our best to do this without any wolf song or blessings, just so they can really see us, and do more than listen to our songs.
Not for them. Not after everything they've given us. There's this man from the back who just shouts over the reporter, faces Professor Young. I've heard of your experimentations. I have seen you and your students try to mess with whatever sparse technology we have. I have seen you reach for the skies, and every time your hubris is rewarded with failure. Your rejection of the wolf song will bring calamity, and we can all see it.
Can we? Can we all see it? Is it rejection, or is it just trying to prove ourselves to them, to prove that we can function with them and also be with them and make our own way there? Is that rejection to you? Are we rejecting that by trying to show that we can and we're striving to be with them?
What need do we have to be with them? They have taken care of our people for so long. They watch over us. They guide us. And yet you want to reject their song?
Maybe sometimes they need to see us as opposed to just listen or grant blessings. Sometimes they don't answer. And if we can get to them, if they can just see us, maybe they'll just give us something else. They'll give us more. Don't you want a closer relationship with them?
The man is about to respond in some way, but he lets the words sink in, and he has no clever retort. He just steps down, just some murmuring around him. He turns to his friends and like, hey, drop it for now, drop it for now. And you can also hear among the crowd that there's some more murmuring and talk. That I feel like that last thing that Professor Young said might have struck a chord with people, and maybe with more people than you would have expected.
There's a young woman in the crowd who mostly grew up on the stories of tradition, and for a lot of her life hasn't known it maybe quite as much as her parents and her grandparents did. And she asks Professor Young, our people have been with the wolves for, well, there isn't a time when they weren't, right? So you say you want them to see us, but what if we go out into the stars and pass them by? What if we go so far out there, we go beyond their reach, their sight, their hearing?
As always, we'll adapt. We've done nothing but adapt. Yes, for sure, with their guidance. But if we can prove ourselves to do this, just for us, when we need them most, they will be back. I'm not saying to reject them completely. I'm just saying, for now, let's take this chance. Let's take this chance to do this for us, to learn to adapt, to grow. And when we need them, their song will be there for us.
She seems comforted by this idea that we're not saying no, just doing our own, and you can see her smile to herself and she starts to hum a tune quite.
A large man towards the front, who has been, looks like that he's in some position of importance, and has been sort of like nodding vigorously as the professor has been speaking, pipes up now and says, Yes, I believe that this town hall has been helpful in educating the attendees on what the plans are. One thing which the council, the rest of the council, is very intrigued by and excited for is your proposal, Professor Young, that because constellations are a perspective issue, if we go into space and can see the constellations from a new light, perhaps we will even be able to understand more about their some innate quality within them. Perhaps from a different viewpoint, they won't be wolves. Perhaps they will be something else, or perhaps we'll have an even more complete understanding of them. So I am very, very heartened to see you sharing this with the crowd here. And I believe I speak for most people when I say that we are giving our support and watching with bated breath to see what it is that you do out there in the cosmos. Great work.
Thank you very much. And I promise things will get better. They have to.
It's with those words that the camera pans out from this building, the town, the city, and looks up at the night sky, and for the first time we see one star wink out. Okay, so that is our pass with Professor Clara Young. Next, Finley gets a free roam. You can make anything you would like. Absolutely free game, and then after that it'll be Marcus with the next anchor.
I feel like there needs to be a period in this space, but also...
Would you like a draw?
Yeah, I think so. I think a draw would be helpful.
What would you like to ask?
So we've got the wolves teach their songs, and we've got we leap forward. I think something in between. I don't know why my brain's going, it's probably a dark period, but let's be optimistic.
Well, we'll see.
I think there is a stagnation at some point in this. And I think I'd just like to ask, is it on part of, like, the Udesians not doing enough, or is it on part of the wolves not, answering? Does that make sense?
It is so funny that you say there's a period of stagnation. I have drawn for you the 10 of coins. So the 10 of coins is a card in other decks about legacy, roots, family, ancestry, and it's a card of a lot of windfall after a large period of hard work. So stability, tradition, things like this. In this card, I can see this large pack of wolves walking, and there's a person with like pinstripe pants, looks like a business suit. And so I read this card more as the spoils of war or the rise of empire. So how, when you look at this card and you think about sort of ancestry and roots and foundation, tradition, how is it that you can twist that? Like what connection do you think there is for this like lull period?
I think in this lull, I think maybe the Udesians got too comfortable with this kind of tuition period that they had. I think they got too comfortable, and I was like, oh, was it on the Udesians or was it on the wolves? I think it's kind of 50-50. I think the wolves saw, hey, you guys are getting too dependent on our teachings. You've got to try something. You've got to try and utilize what we've taught you, and it's just not really going anywhere. The Udesians keep calling out. The wolves are like, you've got everything you need. And so it's creating this kind of weird period of where people are really trying to commit super hard to Wolfsong, and they're trying to put everything in, thinking there's more that they can give, when realistically there isn't any more that they can give. They need to now use their tools to figure something out, which would kind of lead them to leap forward.
They've become like dependent.
Yeah, that's the word.
So we have just finished our Professor Clara Young and then also Finley's free roam. Marcus, it is now your turn to pick or make an anchor.
We have this mysterious student, not from this time, already on the field. We saw the mysterious student in a scene earlier. I want to make the mysterious student the anchor for this round. And I would like to start off then by creating a scene in the dark period independent study, this period of dependency and stagnation. Finley earlier described that this is a period where maybe equally from both sides, both from the Udesian people and from the wolves, there's this urge to get more independence, to not rely as much on the wolves' song. And I want to have a scene in here that, not a scene, but an event that our mysterious student, one of the reasons our mysterious student has actually traveled back in time is to attempt nudging the wolves, to attempt to make sure, or to try and convince the wolves that they need to guide the Udesian people more, because otherwise they will seek a path that leads to doom. So this event, it's a light event, mostly because I think the mysterious student is mostly the mysterious student believes this is a light no, actually, as I'm thinking out loud, I'm not gonna make this a light event. No. This is going to be a dark event, because the mysterious student might, in this event, not be able to convince the wolves to change their course, but that's something that we will delve into later. Let me type out a name for this scene. This event is called Asking the Wolves, and it will be about the mysterious traveler trying to convince the wolves of changing their course. If that will succeed, we don't know yet. That might be something for a later scene, but here it is.
I want to ask, can we have a name for the mysterious student?
Not yet, but if you would like to name them, you can. Alternatively, if it's somebody existent from our timeline somewhere, that might come into play later.
Yeah, that's one. That was I want to do an event much later on. And so I'd like to give them a name. I'm going to name the mysterious student Colwyn.
Colwyn?
Yeah. And I'm going to create I think this would be a light event. And this event is going to be as the stars begin to go out, or perhaps the stars have been going up for a while, and Professor Young and her spacefaring crews need the stars to navigate, and now they're finding it harder and harder to find their way through the cosmos. So she needs to start looking for answers as to what they can do about this. And so she hires a new apprentice who's knowledgeable about the old traditions. A young man named Colin.
Are you saying Professor Young does not remember who this student is since they've met in A Quiet Sky?
I think she definitely knows who this is, and that she met him when he was older, and she didn't know who he was, and she's now met him as a much younger.
I really like how this highlights the interesting dynamic that time travel allows us to have here. Because if I understand you correctly, Clara knows who this is because she met an older version of him in the past, and now there's this younger version here. Excellent.
What would you like to add for Colwyn, the mysterious student?
I feel like a scene would work. I don't know what type of scene.
Any specific period you want to have a scene in?
But I feel like a scene maybe exploring, like, the Seeking Answers event that Chris has just done, so we get that, like, that discussion around, like, maybe Clara, like, just has an inkling. Maybe Clara fully knows what she is going to ask of Colwyn. Like, I think maybe exploring that sort of scene there would be really interesting. But my brain is like, a question for this scene. It'd be a light scene, all in all. Like, I think it would be positive from Colwyn's perspective. New job. New apprentice with with Professor Clara Young for such a great moment, right? Probably unaware of the absolute shenanigans that's going on. So I need a question.
I'm thinking about possible questions.
Yeah.
I was first thinking about, like, why did Clara hire Colwyn, but I think that question is answered because we know that she recognizes him from the past. Would it be an interesting question to ask, like, what is Clara trying to, what is Clara hoping to get from the corporation with Colwyn? What kind of solution is she trying to find to this problem?
Yeah, I think that's a great question to ask. And yeah, it will probably be a played scene. I probably need someone else. I don't mind who goes Clara, I don't mind who goes Colwyn. Maybe you. I feel like you've got done a little pair.
Sure.
You know, applicable person to ask.
Yeah, I can take the professor. The woman sitting in front of him is visibly frustrated, but is trying to hold it in. You can see that she has worried her pen. There are marks on it from where she's presumably rubbed a fingernail on it so hard that it's dented the wood of this instrument. The space that this young man sits in is oppressive. It is one of the only places he's probably been which doesn't have music playing, and the silence of it reverberates in his bones. Even though this is a positive situation, and even though he's been wanting this internship for a while, the pay is good, the hours are amazing, the benefits are great. Now that he's actually here, as Clara speaks about what the project is, I think that there's a moment where the person sitting in front of her is confused as to why him. And finally, the professor gets there, and she says, I have looked into your files, And I believe that you hold a unique promise for our project. You said during the earlier interview process that you had some unique experiences singing to the stars. Can you detail what those were?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I've always felt it, right? Like, I've always felt their presence. They've always answered. There's always been resolution when I've sung with the stars. There is kind of no doubt that they are the reason why I'm here today. They guided me here, and I certainly consulted them before those interviews to kind of really solidify anything really to get this opportunity. There are countless examples I could give.
Give one.
Sure. And he thinks for a moment, and he feels, I would say, this kind of oppressive atmosphere of complete silence of just their conversation. It's really throwing him for a loop. And he kind of starts kind of scanning back, and he goes, well, not my experience. I kind of was really hoping, well, my experience was I wanted my uncle to make it back home, and when he did, he said he actually saw one of the wolves. And I was really, really hoping he made it back. Well, I was tiny then. I was just told, he's gone, and it was one of the first times I really, really asked him for anything. When he came back, he had all these stories.
I see. This man in your files, Torin Susser, I'm assuming that's him.
Yeah. Gone for ages and just came back. It was amazing.
I'm sure it was. Very well. Please proceed into the following room. We have some equipment and instruments for you, as well as a badge. You'll need to scan it to get into the building. I'm just going to get a little bit of paperwork done, and I'll be right there.
Kind of like collects the things, and he's checking the badge, and he's like, okay, this is fine. This is fine. Peeps into the next room, hoping that was the right thing to bring up in that moment. It was kind of like really, like, fingers crossed that he impressed Clara.
As this man sits in the adjoining room sweating and praying and humming little tunes before this woman joins him, I think Clara, the soft tapping in the room finally stops as her heel is no longer pushing against the desk. Her leg finally rests, no longer this metronome which has been droning on for weeks and weeks. She purses her lips and she thinks back to an absolutely beautiful night sky when a stranger at the time asked her if she was happy with that response. And she smiles bitterly and chucks the pencil in the trash. It gets up and prepares to go into the next room. Okay. Interesting. Now we know. And it's me. It's me for Colwyn, the mysterious student. This dark event will be Colwyn is too late. He knew that he likely would. He understood that by the time he gets here, there's no way to save everything. But maybe he can save something. I think that maybe there is something small, some small part of either this society or someone dear to him that he can still impact, something that he can still feel like has been not completely obliterated. Maybe he still has time.
So we're going to wrap up with Colwyn, and I want to have a light scene in that event. Because Colwyn was hired by Professor Young to find a way to have the song return. We know from our timeline that there is this venture to return our original musical skills, to return the wolf song. And I imagine there's been attempts to reconnect with the wolves. Attempts in perhaps the only way that Professor Young at that time understands, which is reaching out to the wolves themselves, trying to travel towards them, using this space travel to reach out to them. And that didn't work out. The pack has moved on. The song is over. And on Professor Young's own space vessel, the Aria, there is a Colwyn, still a student, who is visited by one of the wolves. The Wolf of Swords returns to this timeline. And I want to have a light scene about what the Wolf of Swords offers Colwyn. And I actually want to make this I think it's called a directed scene, or like a single scene where I basically answer my own question. This is aboard the Aria, a scientific vessel that was designed to reach out to the wolves, and the crew knows the mission has failed. The song cannot be sung anymore. And the Colwyn, who has run through every possible solution, through every possible attempt of reconnecting with the wolves, is in his quarters on this vessel, and he just at one point feels this looming presence behind him. There's this figure in the darkness, a hulking figure of a wolf. On its dark fur are white streaks where there were once stars shining. And now there's only a single star that shines in its face, illuminating the darkness. Colwyn is fully aware of who this is. Colwyn has studied the constellations. He and his crew, he and Professor Young, have been traveling the void, seeking the pack. And now here he is, the Wolf of Swords. But the wolf is battered, tired, broken, spent. Colwyn knows one does not speak with the wolves. And Colwyn reaches out for his instrument that he still has with him, an instrument that he hasn't played in a while. And he plays a few notes. Resonating to those notes, the final star on the wolf vibrates, shimmers. There are no words exchanged here, but an offer is still made. The Wolf of Swords has knowledge. The Wolf of Swords knows passages through the void no other wolves, no other mortal knows. And he makes an offer to Colwyn. The people, his people, have not succeeded this time. But the Wolf of Swords can show him a path backwards. To try again. To go back to his people, take the wolf song with them, and perhaps there can be a new lyrics wrote to this song. And Colwyn accepts. He touches the dark fur with one hand and the glowing star with the other. Before he knows it, he is no longer on the aria, but in a cold winter night, the 4 constellations, looking down on a mysterious student who tries to change fate. That's what the Wolf of Swords offers Colwyn.
I love it. Tasty, tasty. Okay, it's time for my free roam. I think what I'm going to do is a scene. And I would like it to be a dark scene. Pop up right here. I think that this will be shortly after the constellations wink out. And before this, the stars have started going, but you could still make out enough to tell which of the wolves were which. You can see the sort of like double pointed stars close to each other, which tells us this is the Wolf of Wands. You can see the sort of like arm movement of that sort of like U shape, which tells us that's definitely the Wolf of Cups. But this is the first time when it's been completely dark. And I think in this scene, I would like it to be a mother and children. Perhaps this mother is named, perhaps we'll see her later, and perhaps we won't. But I think that this is a very human moment, which I would like to have. If you would like to be a child or someone else in this room, raise your hand or notify me in some other way, and we'll start the scene. And what I'll ask is, how much is the value of song if we know we cannot sing it to the heavens? In the midst of a snowstorm, it's not so different whether something is day or night, especially here in the winter. The hours are long, where it's just the lights that you have and whatever you keep in that heart. We zoom in on one home. This is a fairly dark place. As the leap forward draws more and more energy, the ability for regular folk to light their homes at night, to work, to study in the light, or to cook or keep house is limited. So we sit in the darkness. Just one mother, one child. The humming and the swaying of the mother is interrupted. What is it, my child, that you do? What cry of like fear or what movement leads to this scene of comfort?
I think the child, I'm picturing a kind of maybe early teens, maybe preteen, has been sitting staring intently at a lantern on a table and is strumming a guitar very faintly, and you can see that light on the lantern flickering in and out, and the moment that it just winks out, and no matter how much he plays now, it stays out. He backs off and drops the instrument and kind of shrinks up on himself.
This is a tender age where a lot of these kids, she thinks of them as her kids still, even though they're teens or preteens, they're seeking independence. They don't want to be held by their mothers. They want to stay out late and get into trouble and start meeting with friends after school or what have you. But as she looks upon her child, she realizes that this is a moment where perhaps it would be okay to reach out. And so she does. She walks to the edge of the bed and sits, pats your knee, and leans into you if you will let her. And she will sing something. What kind of song do you think it is that she sings to you that brings you comfort in this dark time?
Something old. Something that grandparents, great-grandparents maybe, used to play and sing when they talk about their old home many years ago.
The words come unbidden. The tune comes as a reflex, something which has nestled so deep into her bones that perhaps it was in your lineage before the wolves started singing at all. And she hums and she sings. And the light does not come back on. The moon is lidded, the stars are dark. If there is light from an adjoining house, you cannot see it from the window. But here, in this room, to those who can hear, there's still some comfort to be had in the music. That's my free roam. And now it's Chris.
I have an idea for what the anchor could be. See how you feel about the anchor for this round being the Wolf of Swords.
Do it!
Yeah.
I also want to ask if it may have a name beyond just that maybe only it knows. Or...
If you feel in your heart that the Wolf of Swords has a name, please give our Pantheon Wolf a name.
Okay, well, I feel like I have a name already because just of the chronicle we're making. Canis.
Show us what you want to do with Canis.
Okay. I think there is a scene that I want to do. Yeah, I want to do a scene where Canis hears what Colwyn asked during independent study. When Colwyn asked the wolves not to leave them behind. I think given it's probably got to be a dark one, right? Given what we know about this.
You want to take this one, Marcus?
Are you happy to play Colwyn in this?
You want to be Colwyn in this and I'm going to be Canis?
I was thinking, would you be okay taking Colwyn in this?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. You want to set the scene?
Yeah. It's a time when everyone has got so much from what the wolves taught them for many years, and many have felt comfort and prosperity from that, but there's a small almost imperceptible undercurrent, just with a few. And it started with his teacher, later student, Professor Young, noticing that more people, just a few trickling in, were less and less likely to hear any response from the wolves. And Colin knows full well where that leads. He's been here for years trying to prevent it, and it's happening right under his nose, and he can't seem to do anything about it. And when he fears this might get to a point of no return, he beseeches the wolves to come back to them.
We're talking at this point about the Colwyn who has already traveled back in time. The Colwyn who has been shown the path there by the Wolf of Swords, who offered him the knowledge to do this. And as Colwyn besieges the wolves, it is Canis, the Wolf of Swords, who responds. His fur is still mostly just as dark as the void between the stars, the white stripes where once his stars were, and even the final star on his face has almost vanished. After Colwyn asks the question, Canis starts circling around the time traveler, looking on at him. And as he wanders around Colwyn sees things, visions of how all of this has already come to pass. How Colwyn has been here before in this exact moment. How Colwyn would later become the student and then the teacher again. How the cycle keeps on repeating, and every turn of the wheel is orchestrated by Canis. All of this must happen. All of this must turn for Canis to remain free, to not be part of the constellations, to not be just one of four, but to be one of one. And so Colwyn must travel, Colwyn must go back in time, try again and try again, but it can never be broken. But when it ceases, when the attempt stops, that is when Canis becomes one of four again. And that is why Canis will now not help Colwyn, for Colwyn has already helped Canis.
And so Canis stops circling Colwyn, ceases showing him these visions that in his old age he wouldn't be able to do much with these anymore. And Canis leaps away and soars over the time and sees again a young Colwyn being hired by Professor Young. And as much as the wolf can, kind of smiles. And he drops down and lands again, battered and bruised in front of Colwyn. And yet again, Canis offers him a chance to return.
Amazing. Finley, would you like to add to the Wolf of Swords? Seeing what you've just seen?
I would love to. I don't know if it's gonna match that. The energy. I know Luyou and I were like, the whole time. I would. I'm trying to think now. With this that we've set up. I like to It could either be a scene or an event. I think it's more likely to be an event rather than a scene. Leaves the floor open. But for when Canis decided that he wanted to be one and not part of four, for when Canis decided to start this loop, and for me that seems to be just before he sends Corwin back in time, like right at the end. Canis kind of starts formulating this plan to keep himself perpetually free.
I am imagining, so I'll actually have this be a dictated scene. 4 wolves sit in the starscape. Already now, their stars have begun blinking out. The Wolf of Swords is looking the worst of them. There's 1 star to his name. The rest are also bruised, battered, and weary. Stars only have so much light to give. And these people who they love, who have shared their song with them, in asking too much of them, has started to sap their strength. In the beginning, the questions were so broad, so easy to answer, so important it seemed to answer. But now, and with the music spreading, with everything being shared, it's becoming so much, even after the Wolf of Coins isolated the Udesians in the storm to prevent the spreading of the music, for they all grow so tired, weary to the bones. Even this, it seems like the questions pile on them, and for each one they leave unanswered, people lose faith, and for each one they answer, their own fur grows brittle, white, their own stars blink out. Brothers, the Wolf of Coins says to the others, we are dying. Surely you must see this. We cannot love this group of people, kind-hearted and loyal as they are. We cannot love them to the point where we ourselves wink out for the last time. But I also cannot bear to do anything about this, for I have much love for the Udesians. I wish that they might simply leave us be. I wish that they might simply allow us to live here in the starscape and allow them to live on the ground. I hear troubling news. Murmurs of people who wish more from us. Brothers, what more can we possibly give? The Wolf of Coins says. And though this is heard by all, it is only one wolf, the only one which is able to put its thoughts before its feelings. That wolf begins to think. And there is much time to think in the stillness of the stars above. Okay, that is my contribution to Canis.
That means it's my turn on this round here. There's so much already been said now for Canis and the deception he was involved in. I'm looking at our timeline, and I'm trying to see where do we have some interesting holes that we can still fill that would be relevant
Would you
to
like a
our Wolf of
recommendation?
Swords. I would not mind a recommendation if you have one.
We have not touched the storm at all.
The storm all the way at the beginning of our timeline. We have nothing there. And I think you just mentioned in your dictating scene that the Wolf of Coins was involved in that. So it's not just Canis who has been doing some plotting. I want to do just gonna put an event here in that time. It's gonna be a dark event. And in this event, this is actually a conflict between the constellations. This is a disagreement between the four siblings, the four members of the pack, on how to actually deal with these people that keep calling upon their powers. The Wolf of Coins, without the approval of the others, summons up this storm to enshroud the Udesian people. And the Wolf of Swords faces off against his brother, and in this event might even learn that there's a futility to all of this. And this might be where the seed for the Wolf of Swords' later plan of breaking away from the pact, of creating some kind of loop in which he can break away from them, is born.
So we know that surely something must happen. Something goes wrong with Canis' plan, because at some point our Udesians break from the cycle, as it was foretold. So I think I want to put an event right at the end. We'll go right from the beginning, right to the end. And I think this one has to be that the other three figure out what Canis is doing and intercept him. On one of many infinite, unstoppable cycles of Colin going back in time over and over and over, they find a way to finally interrupt and let Colin progress from this point.
Okay, so if that is Canis wrapped up, Marcus, you have a free roam.
I do indeed. I'm going to put an event under our leap forward, and it's going to be an event. It's not going to be a dark event. I feel like we have a lot of dark events going on. This one's going to be a light event, and it's actually going to be, this is under the period of the leap forward, and it's going to be the construction of the very first space vessel, the Aria.
Now, this is kind of an above-table question. It's my understanding that in 10 Candles, the setting is that the sun is going out, or has gone out.
Yes, but that can be changed to Starscape or anything else, but if you have an idea, just put it on the board.
I have an idea, but obviously, if people aren't vibing, it it's no biggie. What did the other three do, you ask? They ratted on him to the big major arcana, the sun. What did the sun do about that? End it all. So I'm going to try and do a dictated scene where it's a bit more verbose than that. In the vast astral sea, more void than pinprick lights now, three brothers argue and bicker to figure out exactly what can be done about this scheme that Canis has devised. And in all of this, there has always been one star greater than all of the others that could never go out, one star stronger than them all. And what is the sun but another great shining star in our cosmos? There is little direct communication between the brothers and the sun itself, not really being something that the Udesians considered a celestial being taking form, more just a guarantee in their day-to-day, something that would always be there, always rise, always set. And watching the world repeat itself and go on and never move forward. The sun makes one final decision and joins the three brothers in slowly but surely dimming.
So cool. Okay, so since we've decided to just have a free roam, free for all, to end us out, I might visit in the beginning. We have this lovely dark event, a fight of coin and swords, which is so intriguing to me. I would love a scene here. And I would love it to be a shared scene. So if someone would like to do a played scene with me, I would really love to explore this conflict between reason and knowledge, communication, and sort of the material, the tangible, stability. I think these are things which echo issues that the Udesians face, however much they know it.
I don't mind joining you in that scene.
Would you like coins or swords?
I'll be the coins.
Okay.
What kind of question are we trying to answer in this scene?
I think the question should be, what shook the stars and made the Wolf of Coins create this storm? Whose star winked out first, and why was that the beginning of the end?
Do you want to set the scene?
Sure. It couldn't be a regular storm. The civilization already has things to predict and prevent the worst of the natural storms on this continent, after all. So many years of calling to the stars, but never did the Udesians notice that the stars were starting to dim. And it was not his own star which winked out. The Wolf of Cups, the most cheerful of the brothers, lost his tail. And this is what began everything. The tail of a wolf is important. It's used for so much communication and language. And losing something so important, it rendered this playful brother quiet and somber, refusing to even speak to the Udesians unless something was extremely relevant to relationships or emotions. And I think as the Wolf of Coins spins this storm, this celestial created thing, he is so focused that he does not notice the absolute bearing down of this other celestial body coming towards him. What does the Wolf of Swords see as he enters, and what is he feeling?
The storm is all enveloping. The size of it, titanic. The Wolf of Swords has never seen his brother in such turmoil, such unrest. Coins was always an anchor for the pack. Peace, stability. And being so lost in rage is unfamiliar to the Wolf of Swords. The settlements of the Udesians are covered in ice and snow, and Coins isn't even done yet. The two wolves clash in the storm. The wolves never clashed before. They have had disagreements, but howling together, singing their songs together settled those. But now two siblings crash here inside a hurricane of cold and despair. How does the Wolf of Sword, at what point does the Wolf of Sword, perhaps even momentarily, yield? What kind of opening for just the briefest moment of conversation does the Wolf of Sword offer?
The Wolf of Swords does not offer this moment. We both take a moment when the Wolf of Cups howls once more as it loses a second star. And we both hear that howl. There is something so undiscardable about family in that way. When one cries, we cannot all help but cry. And the flashing of this massive storm, the lightning and the thunder, these two wolves fighting each other, and a snarling abates for a moment. As the Wolf of Coins says, "Brother, you know you have lost this. Please, you have to understand. This is not the end. We are dying. I am acting in anger. But I'm also acting in fear. I'm worried for you and for us."
The Wolf of Swords listens to these words. And as the two converse, the storm slowly settles down. It's still enveloping them, but it's not that relentless rage for a moment. Swords understands that Coin is hurt, that there is desperation, but also a spark of hope. And Sword listens. Perhaps there is a way out of this, but not one that Coin thinks of. Swords ponders the possibilities as an age of ice comes upon the Udesians. All right. You're okay with that, Luyou? Then I think it's my turn for final free roam. My final free roam. After me, it's still Chris, of course, who is going to take a free roam. I am going to give us. I think I want a. I'm gonna make another light scene. A light, not a light event, not a scene, but a light event. I kind of like this aria, the first space vessel that's being constructed. And I want to have, also in the leap forward, I'd like to have a scene of the aria. And this is all about the aria making its first space flight and safely returning as well, which is like a very key event for the civilization that shows that they can reach for the stars. This is not the wolf song. This is their solution, their own interpretation of the lessons they've learned, and they can make this technology function. So it's not just a technological success, it's also a cultural shifting point where there's more support for this endeavor. It's over to you then, Chris.
Yeah, okay. I want to do something. I'm going to do a light scene to finish this up here. Something maybe with the grandeur we've been seeing over this timeline. And I think our intrepid adventurer, Torin, met the Wolves of Swords. No, sorry. He met the Wolf of Swords on a hilltop many, many years ago. And he strode off into the distance, into the sunlight as the storm receded. And he met Udesians far and wide who'd been separated from them. And over the decades, his efforts saw more and more and more of this people come together and reunite. And of course, there was so much cause to celebrate, but they could not have known that the song, the increase in the noise, was what was driving the wolves away from them. But sometime long after they've started to notice that the wolves aren't responding anymore, and a time traveler named Colin has been begging the wolves to reconsider, but Torin doesn't know about that. Colin is his little nephew, this sweet little boy who, more than anything, he wants him to know about the traditions of his people and the song that he sang. He played on the flute to a wolf on a hill years ago. And so I just want to dictate this scene being Torin teaching Colin how to play his flute and passing it on to him.